And so welcome you to this presentation by Dr. Reysa Alenzuela. She is a senior librarian at the University of South Pacific campus, and she will tell you more about her work and give you a perspective of what's it like to look at the libraries there. And she also has a very, very interesting background, having worked in Kazakhstan and in Korea as well, so she can tell you more about that. So I will pass it to you, Reysa.
Can you hear me? It's not muted. Okay, so it's good. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for participating in this and for your interest to attend this webinar. And thank you so much, Ray, for inviting me to share about libraries here in Vanuatu and in my work here in Vanuatu. So as I've mentioned, a bit of the overview of this presentation. So I will just be giving somewhat a history, the development in the current endeavors of libraries here in Vanuatu, and some of the practices that we're doing in academic and research libraries, and hopefully share a bit about prospects for where we can all together collaborate, libraries both in Vanuatu in the Pacific and in the international field. So before I proceed, let me give a bit of a glimpse of what Vanuatu is. So Vanuatu is a country in the southern Pacific Ocean, consisting of a chain of principal and many smaller islands located about 500 miles west of Fiji and more than 1,000 miles east of Australia. The major islands are, as you can see here, are Port Vila, Santo, Malikula. So these are just a bit of the islands that are part of the about more than 80 islands in Vanuatu. Formerly the jointly administered Anglo-French condominium of the New Hebrides, Vanuatu achieved independence in 1980. The name Vanuatu means our land forever in many of the locally used Melanesian languages. The capital city where I live and where I work right now is in Port Vila in the province of Efate. About the people in Vanuatu. So roughly it's about 300,000 population in more than 80 islands, spread across 80 islands. The majority are in Santo and in Port Vila, which is the capital. So the locals are called Ni Vanuatu or Nivan, which means in Baslama, from the land. And that's the reason why, just to take ownership of the libraries, I just call it Nivan libraries. The people here are mainly Melanesian, though some of the outlying islands have Polynesian populations. More than 100 local Melanesian languages and dialects are spoken. Bislama, an English-based Melanesian pidgin, is the national language along with English and French as the three official languages. Custom, or what they say as custom, play an important role in every aspect of their society. So I'd like to highlight a bit about custom, as it has significance in how they share information and store or preserve knowledge in this part of the globe. So what I'm showing here is actually one of the traditions they call kava drinking. Kava drinking is a form of socialization which is practiced in both in the urban areas right now or in rural areas and in tribes. On many islands, men gather nightly at their local nakamal, or what they call a man's house, to drink kava. Kava is a famous crop in the Pacific Islands. The kava root extracts have sedative effects. It is expected that this ceremony or gathering is more quiet because It is a communication with the other realm, although it is just a belief that is no longer practiced in the city. But what is fascinating is the dominating part of the tradition that has correlation with knowledge sharing. And speaking of knowledge sharing, traditional knowledge here are usually in oral or visual forms. Take, for example, the artifacts that I've shown in the left side. These are the two, and the other one, which is what they call a sand drawing, which is a form of art. These are the two most prominent art that reflects the traditional knowledge in Vanuatu. The one at the right side is an intricately carved large vertical wooden slit drum of stunning appearance that they call tam-tam. The one in the photo is a tam-tam with 5 faces, which is in front of the USP Emalus campus library. The tam-tam can have as many as 6 faces, and each face represents a level of rank in tribal systems. The more faces one is entitled to carve, the higher the status. In fact, when we buy a tam-tam here until now, you can be certain that this is an authentic product. Only those who have the right to carve are also able to sell their pieces. This to me implies that traditional knowledge has high value. This also affects the way information is made available. The other one, just quickly, is a sand drawing, an art of creating shapes and design with a bit of a storytelling in its sand. This kind of practice of sand drawing or art is more openly shared. In terms of knowledge sharing, from those practices that they have, one thing I've observed is that they have about 2 or 3 ways of sharing knowledge. One is a traditional knowledge sharing, sharing of their knowledge of the customs and traditions, just as I've mentioned a while ago, the sand drawing, the weaving, and the carving. It's just the general part of it. However, they also have this shared knowledge, which the community or commonly practice in the country. Like, for example, how to grow crops, how to plant. Those are shared knowledge that everyone knows and is open for everyone. But there's something which is really interesting. The one in sacred knowledge, which is owned by tribes or that can be only transferred for a fee and is kept a secret. Knowledge of custom values passed from generation to generation is restricted. They are individual property rights of each person or tribe. To have access to this knowledge, one has to make large payment through traditional means, such as with pigs, yams, and mats, like the weave mats. When a person obtains knowledge through making payment, still he is not allowed to put these things on public show during a dance or any ritual or any event, unless a right is given to him to do so by individuals or tribes concerned. And another area of custom knowledge that can be disclosed, but only with the permission from the tribe or the family, is the traditional medicine. It may be handed down by the family to their next generation with certain conditions. So this brings me to the idea that knowledge here in this part of the word is sacred, is a sacred possession, and everything is indirectly copyrighted. The handing down of this knowledge from the tradition, or what they call a sacred knowledge, takes a while. Elders keep this knowledge and reveals only just before their death to ensure that their children will take care of them. This is practiced in some of the islands, not necessarily in all the tribes or islands in Vanuatu. What happens is that parents do not immediately share their knowledge until it has been proven that their children are worthy, like they took care of them. This also applies to transfer of properties, like lands. As information is kept and the mode of transfer is mostly oral or verbal, Vanuatu is not into creating a place where all this information are preserved. Unlike if we compare it in countries, or I can compare it in countries where I've been to, Korea has a lot of this Tripitaka blocks where information or chants are kept, or in China or in different parts of the world, these are saved in stones or any form of written material. But in this part of the world, very little is written record has been collected, and it took a while for libraries to be developed. So this brings me to the point and how the libraries has been developed here. In fact, the record of first public library started only with a small Vanuatu collection. This is the current facade of the red, I call it a red door, of what used to be the beginning of the libraries here, public libraries here in Vanuatu. So it was in 1950s when Vanuatu, then New Hebrides, which is still an Anglo-French condominium, that both the French and British government collaborated for the first time to build the National Cultural Center building, where artifacts and other local custom and tangible knowledge were stored. The very purpose of this, of the two countries developing or building this cultural center, is to preserve the traditional knowledge. And one part of that building is a place for manuscripts and books or anything written about Vanuatu. And this started the collection of what is now the Vanuatu National Library, or VNL. It took decades before the public library was fully established, with staff having a background in library work. Then, the government, more than a decade after its independence in 1980, established a duly recognized national library. And fast forward in 1995, when the Vanuatu Cultural Center, which is the whole building right now, was moved to a new place, VNL was also transferred, and this place became now the Port Vila City Public Library. So in terms of the public libraries, let me start with the National Library. So that's the facade of the building where the National Library is currently located. It shares the space with the Vanuatu National Archives. So you have it here, National Archive and the National Library. VNL is under the Ministry of Justice, and until 2018, there is no concrete funding, no law has been passed on the development of or establishment of a VNL or other libraries. As to its collection, there are about 10,000, more than 10,000 collection of mainly books, newspapers, manuscripts, mostly in print. They adopt a customized in-house online public access catalog, and they're using a closed shelf system, considering that the National Library only has 3 staff. So in this building that I'm showing, the one below is the National Archives, and the one on top is the Vanuatu National Library. Nonetheless, amidst lack of funding and staffing, considering the staffing, they are still very dynamic. So looking into the organizational structure of public libraries, VNL oversees 4 municipality libraries, which are spread across the 80-plus island archipelago. So the one in the city where I am is the Port Vila City Public Library, which is the municipal library, which is in the province of Efate. Then there's the what we call Espiritu Santo, but they call Santo Public Library, but it functions as both as an academic and public library. And then there's another one in farther island in the municipality of Tana, which is in Isangel, and another one in Malekula, which is Lakatoro. So each of these are expected to have community libraries, but in terms of the development of community libraries, it's still quite a struggle. But again, as I've mentioned, amidst all these limitations, the Vanuatu National Library, with the leadership of the chief librarian, still continue to develop dynamic programs. They have trainings for library staff or library volunteers. They distribute books from international donations. They have done media and information literacy, but the most recent one was in 2017. They have the school library support program, and they spearhead the activities in Vanuatu Library Association. So another public library, which I find very interesting and functional in terms of service, is the Port Vila City Public Library. So they have, that's the one, it's the opening of the red door and that I showed a while ago. So it used to be the Vanuatu National Library building, part of it. Now it's the public, the city library. So there's one librarian, and they have 3 staff. Currently, what they're doing is they're doing collection, inventory, and recataloging of the materials. Given that the public librarian, who used to be one of my colleagues here at USP, has courses in library and information science. So they also do book distribution and plans to push through with the book mobile program. They have children and adult programs as well at Day. One of those which is really functional is storytelling, but they said they still need more people and volunteers to do the storytelling. And they are now in the process of developing their integrated library system using the Koha software. In one of my visits to the City Public Library, I saw this fascinating group of library users. 2 old men showing that they are capable of accessing information in different platforms. And one is using his computer, the other one is reading his National Geographic in print. And there at the center is a college student doing his assignment. And in front, there's a girl, I presume she's a secondary, a high school student, reviewing for some kind of an exam. So what I see here is that there's diverse use of the library, the multifunctional usage of the city library. A lot of people are also coming there on a regular basis. They could have as many as 100 users, an average of 100 users per day. In another province, or island, another public library is in Espiritu Santo, or Santo in short. The library is both functioning as an academic and municipality library, with close to 7,000 volumes of books from USP and more than 1,000 volumes of municipal collection, which are mostly fiction. Since it is under the USP, that facade is actually the whole, what we call USP Center. Part of it is the library. The collection includes online resources where for more than 50 databases that USP, University of South Pacific system, has subscribed to. Another thing that that I wanted to highlight is that a lot of schools in rural areas do not have libraries because the priority of the national projects or agenda is to provide basic facilities like classrooms, salary of staff, and computers. If you could see from the figures I provided here, internet is provided to only less than 5% of the total number of primary and secondary schools. That is the scarcity of library schools, specifically school libraries, especially in the remote islands. This photos I've captured actually shows the islands in the northern, in Pentecostal, which is a bit far from Port Vila in the city. These are volunteers, some are mothers, some are teachers, some are even students that the chief librarian of Vanuatu National Library provided a training for basic on how to run the library. So, and in this one, if you could see, they have just recently placed a shelf which is made of bamboo. So that's how the island goes. The works in the islands, or the situation the island goes. As part of the training, here's an example of a training that was conducted. The one here in orange dress is the chief librarian of the VNL. She's conducting trainings for the volunteers and staff of one of the schools, which is Sori Maori Primary School in North Pentecost. What she's doing is she's sharing about how to do the shelving. So there's the board there with an illustration. They don't have projector, they don't have computers to show all these things. So she's trying to have her visuals in those papers and in the blackboard. So that's the situation in these islands. Going there actually she needs to take a plane going there, which is not really coming in on a daily basis. And then they need to take a boat to go to the island. And sometimes they need to walk for 2 kilometers, or if I'm not mistaken, 2 hours, just to get through this remote schools. So in this picture, they're doing a workshop on how to do basic cataloging and classification. So there are both students, teachers, and mothers who are participating in the training. So, but although most schools do not have libraries, a few college and university libraries have adopted to global standards in terms of information services here in Vanuatu. Record shows that there are 11 academic institutions in the country. Mostly they are situated in Port Vila. One example is the Malapua College. I have here a facade of the administration building. This is originally a British secondary school, which was established in 1966. They have a 1-floor library. It's a separate building library. It has a small conference room, audiovisual room, equipped with computers and fully air conditioned. I wasn't just able to get in because the classes hasn't started. So I just took photo of the facade. Another library is in the Vanuatu Institute of Teacher Education, or Instituto de Formación do Ensinador de Vanuatu. This is a school established in 1962 for English primary teachers. And they now offer trainings both in English and in French for diploma in teaching primary and teaching secondary. So the resources of this library is intended for teacher education that is offered in this college. And the last one that I will show you for the academic library is the one where I'm working, the University of South Pacific Emalus Campus Library. This is the only university library in Vanuatu, and it houses an extensive general collection to support the campus with almost 2,000 students per semester from the Pacific region, most of whom are studying law. So I'm showing you this is the facade of our library. These are my colleagues in the library. Yeah, we're just trying to goofy around. We're just trying to be goofy. Okay. Another thing is that USP we need to take note that USP is a regional university that spreads across 12 island states. The main campus is in Fiji, and there are 2 smaller campuses in Vanuatu and in Samoa. The Emalus Campus Library supports the School of Law and the Pacific Languages, Early Childhood Education, Distance, and Flexible Learning. So we cater to students who are enrolled face-to-face or in blended mode or in online classes. The library also subscribes to a comprehensive list of electronic databases that provide access to a wide array of academic and research materials. Aside from that, we also have the special collection we call Vanuatu collection, which are materials relating to Vanuatu, which are both in fiction and nonfiction. I'd like to highlight that among the databases that we have in the university, Emalus Campus Library subscribe to the legal databases, specifically Hein Online, LexisNexis, and Westlaw. Also, one of the highlights of our collection is of our database is the PACLI, or the Pacific Islands Legal Information Institute database, which has been which is about laws, which is a compilation of laws jurisprudence in the region. So this project of PACLI, I'd like to highlight a bit. I had a print screen of it, so I don't need to show the whole website. So this is the webpage of PACLI. How it started. In 1998, the University of South Pacific School of Law, in collaboration with Campus Library, Emalus Campus Library, has initiated the Access to Pacific Laws project. But only in 2005 that this project has secured funding from New Zealand and Australian aid programs, where the Pacific Islands Legal Information Institute has been established. And the Emalus Campus Library works closely until now with PACLI to enhance access to laws of the region. So for the materials that are available in our print format, considering the copyright restrictions, we have some of the parts digitized and placed in this database. The materials include unreported decisions, comprehensive collection of published law reports, legislation from all member countries of the University of South Pacific, access to the full text of decisions online, and full text of all their constitutions. So you can see all the participating countries, depending on the availability of the resources they placed online or they have sent to PAC. They are all placed on this. And PACLI utilizes a Sino search engine, an automated markup software available on the free legal case citator called LawCite. So it's function. That's how it is used. As an academic library, we provide academic and research support through various services. So we have the information research skills, or the information literacy program in the university. At the lower level, the bachelor's degree, this is embedded in some of the courses. In the postgraduate level, there are sessions that are conducted. So this is just one of the examples of the information research skills trainings that we have conducted in Emalus. Another thing that we have done involving campus-wide programs are a collaboration with various offices. This one is a classic example that we did last year in collaboration with Student Learning Support Office and the e-learning support office. So we conducted sessions. Our part is on information literacy and research skills development. We also have several information sessions to scaffold the information literacy program. That's just one of the things that we had last year. And sometimes we even do one-on-one research support or even trainings. So that's just what we posted online on how we try to engage with students. And also we provide LibGuides. These LibGuides varies in topics. There's on citation and referencing, data visualization, and guide to various courses. As a regional campus, USP has 4 centers that we expect to replicate all the library services for academic support. Along with the training for staff, we try to extend the training in other libraries as a form of our outreach. So I'm just showing here, this is our map of the USP system, and this is Vanuatu, and we have these 4 centers. We had last year a training for librarians in Santo. The one in my group are mostly our local our Nivan librarians or library staff. They're working in school libraries and in and the one beside me used to be a USB staff, but now she's part of the college, agricultural college in Santo, one of the colleges in Santo. In terms of librarians and library association, we all know that there's a scarcity of continuing professional development here. That's the reason why we academic librarians, in our capacity, we try to help as much as we can. A bit of the background of what is in here right now in Vanuatu. There are about 50 Nivan librarian members of the Vanuatu Library Association. When we say librarians, that means they're just working in the library. It doesn't mean they need to get a license or a certificate or a diploma. So they are just considered as librarians here. A bit of the demographics. There are only 2 Nivan librarians with bachelor's degree. 3 have have diploma. Some are taking courses. A handful, less than 10, are taking a diploma course in library information science as well, which USP offers as an online course. But still, there is still so much gap that cannot be addressed in terms of establishing knowledge about library information studies. So, but nonetheless, to fill that gap, every now and then, the VLA, the Vanuatu Library Association, provide trainings depending on the availability of funds. So what is this VLA? Vanuatu Library Association. It was founded in 1997. As part of their thrust, they used to provide financial aid for those who are taking LIS courses, but because there is no sustainability or there's no ongoing program to enhance their funding or to keep the funds, the funding stopped in the course of this program. And fast forward, just as part of the significant things that had happened with BLA, in 2015, the then city librarian, public city librarian, who is now the chief librarian of Vanuatu National Library. She has participated in the second cohort of the Nili Oceania program. And in 2016, this association attempted to be a member of IFLA, but they said due to some constraints, both in the documents and other things, they're still in the process of being a member, full member of IFLA. So as part of their activities in November, VLA conducted a workshop for librarians and also launched the Friends of Vanuatu Libraries. So what is this Friends of Vanuatu Libraries? This is a grassroots non-governmental organization which is dedicated to promote library development in Vanuatu. For the membership, this is for library advocates, whether they're living in Vanuatu or any part of the globe. For those who are interested to join, I have my information here at the end of my presentation. What they wanted is to establish, promote libraries as an important institution in the community and to provide support in the establishment of libraries. So as I've mentioned, we need more advocates. We need more members to help us develop the libraries here in Vanuatu, to advocate for developing legal frameworks, to raise funds for library work, to support advocate facilities, to support library activities such as the book donation and distribution, and to support recovery of libraries in times of disaster, or even encourage or gather a pool of volunteers who would assist in the activities. So current recent endeavors that we had, the Chief Librarian of Vanuatu National Library is an active member of IFLA Oceania. Some of the members has also attended meetings in New Zealand. In August, me and the Chief Librarian of the Vanuatu National Library participated as one of the resource speakers in Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum. For us, we are trying to promote access to information in the digital format. And we also try to integrate the importance of advancing the UN 2030 agenda. As you can see in these photos on top, one is the speaker came from the office of the Prime Minister, who is explaining about the National Development Plan, which is related to the UN 2030 agenda. And on my end, I gave a bit about IFLA and the UN 2030 agenda. So prospects for collaboration. There's so many things that can be done in this part of the world to help promote access to information. Personally, for me as a professional librarian, a researcher, and an LIS educator, I see a lot of areas where we library professionals can work together, like in building libraries, providing trainings, developing LIS education, or even just in researches that you might be interested. Looking into the knowledge paradigms and how we can understand their access to information and how libraries can integrate and preserve and share the information they have, promote open access, develop their library management system. So these are just a few things that I think where all of us, librarians in different parts of the world, can help as well in Vanuatu. So in closing, I just wanted to say that we can be a part of the vision of Vanuatu, of Nivan libraries, and help them hone the future of their libraries. These two photos I captured, by the way. The first one is just an island overlooking one of the restaurants here in Port Vila, which is quite fascinating. And this one is an unfiltered capture I had of one of the sunsets here in Vanuatu. This island is pretty much a paradise, very beautiful. There's still a lot of things that we can do in terms of libraries. So this ends my presentation. Thank you, Tomas, and thank you once again for your interest in this webinar.
Thank you, Reysa. This is amazing. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
So I got a question. Oh, you can leave your slides on.
Okay, sure.
Actually. Oh yeah, the contact, I think people might be interested.
Yeah, we can focus on the contact. Okay.
Great. So one question is about association collaboration. You had mentioned some of the opportunities in terms of with the Friends of the Library or open access. I don't know if you would like to talk more. There's been interest for instance, the Black Caucus of the American Library Association. If there's specifically interested in collaborating, what would be the best step? Should they just contact you, or what would you recommend?
Well, I think if because as far as I know, the president of the Vanuatu Library Association is active in IFLA Oceania. She can be one of the contact person, but I don't mind as well being a conduit in the beginning to collaborate with one of the programs. In fact, actually speaking of collaboration, right now I have several projects that we were doing along with the Vanuatu local librarians in Vanuatu Library Association. One is to distribute and build libraries in the remote areas. So for me, that was just a way for us to promote the culture of reading and building libraries. Another project on open access that we're doing is again on the development of digitization of the resources. So these are just a few of the avenues probably that we could help. But yeah, going back to your question, you could either me or the chief librarian, both of us can be the point of contact.
Great. So there are a couple of comments I just wanted to read out since the recording won't capture them. This one's from Margaret. There are 4 of us from the National Archives and the National Library in attendance, and we're so thankful to you for raising our issues to colleagues abroad. And then there is a comment about Friends of Vanuatu Libraries, if you could talk more about that and the membership.
Okay, so the Friends of Vanuatu Libraries was actually recently established. So in terms of membership, this is there is no fee required to be a member. There's a form, I guess, that Margaret is actually the chief librarian of the Vanuatu National Library. There's a form that we can distribute for those who are willing to be a member, and all of this are gathered by Margaret and the Vanuatu Library Association secretary for them to see who are part of the members. All they need to do is just fill out the form. So what they can do, as I've mentioned, it could be an advocacy that we can do remotely. We can discuss possibilities of doing trainings or research. In fact, one of the things that I have in mind is developing the competency index of librarians. That could be for the purpose, since I'm just expecting that our group here are librarians, and the ones who are actually parts of the Vanuatu, Friends of Vanuatu libraries are mostly 9 librarians. I haven't mentioned a while ago that actually one of the major patrons is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and External Trade, Ralph Regenvanu. Others who are part of this right now are lawyers, authors, academicians, mothers, engineers. Some are students, even teenagers. So it's really a diverse group, but at some point we still need a cohesive project for each of us, so things can be facilitated. So for those who are not here but are planning to volunteer, maybe randomly, I would be encouraging. I would love to help if they wanted to come here to conduct trainings for the librarians, do book donations, share on how to do storytelling. I don't have the knowledge of all aspects of library work. So I would be happy if there would be people, there would be professional librarians who could come here, hitting 2 birds in 1 stone, both for a vacation at the same time for a volunteer work in Vanuatu, so that we could help the libraries by providing them how to conduct trainings, or probably donating books, or helping in organizing the libraries or raising funds. That's probably, I think, the areas which we would need a lot of help. I hope I explained it well.
Yeah, that was great. I think folks could definitely be in touch with you first, and then see what kind of opportunities can arise as they're hearing you explore all the options out there. So let's see if there are any more questions or comments. Please feel free to type in the chat, or if you have a mic, you're welcome to unmute yourself and talk to us live.
Okay, I will unmute myself. This is Deborah Robinson. Hi.
Hey.
Thank you so much for this fabulous presentation. I've been to Vanuatu, so this is why I was interested in attending this webinar. And I'm the one really interested in how I'm a member of the Black Caucus and the International, International Affairs Committee or whatever. So I want to report back to the committee. And I would just maybe like to explore with you or Margaret various possibilities, because I know for the money to go to Vanuatu, even though it's great to do the in-person training, just what other kind of support, even if it's through Friends of the Library, but maybe there could be raising money for various needs that you have on the ground. But definitely, I think we would like to explore various options of what's possible.
Oh, thank you very much for the interest, and I'm happy that someone who has been to Vanuatu is interested to do more projects with us. So in terms of funding, I think the funding part, the transfer of funds, whatever, that's with the VLA and the Friends of Vanuatu libraries. I took note of this and mentioned this in one of the meetings. I think this month they will also be having a meeting on that. As far as I know, there's still no concrete procedures on how to do this, considering that we wanted transparency on my end, I just wanted to do the volunteer side in terms of sharing my time and doing trainings. So for that matter, I know the easiest way is to provide to provide financial support. That would really be great. It can go a long way. But Margaret is also part of this webinar, so probably we could discuss that further and how to go about this. Again, I cannot say in the procedure and how it could be done, but I think whoever would keep in touch with me and Margaret, that would be a great avenue where we could discuss with the Friends of Vanuatu and how we go about all these things and how we could provide transparency and in the financial support that we could get as much as we can.
So that's a great point. Margaret here also wrote, to make the situation a bit more clear, Vanuatu Library Association membership is less than 20, representing less than 10 libraries nationwide. We are starting to develop more school and community libraries and simultaneously train library officers and hope more people do formal trainings.
Also, if I may add, Ray, actually one of the things that I have discussed with Margaret is we are developing modules on how to run libraries so that there will be sustainability. We wanted to put it in print so that we can distribute it in areas where there is no internet access. I would always wanted everything paperless, but in this part of the world, it seems impossible. And so we are trying to create modules on that. If there would be some professional librarians who are willing to help us in developing the modules, that would lessen a bit of the things that I'm doing as well. That would really be a great help.
So a quick question, Reysa, if folks emailed you, could they get the slides that you had created?
Yes, that would be, I can hear this.
Okay, great, thanks. That might be easier for folks to just email you than for me to distribute, because there's a lot of listservs here, but thank you for that. And also Margaret mentions that in terms of financial support, allows us to fix our processes and procedures before we talk about this. Seems like a cart before the horse. We are so in need of funds, but have no proper procedures in place yet. So yeah, there's going to be opportunities to discuss workflows and sort of envisioning what could take place based on needs, assessments, and so forth. So sounds great. Any other sort of last comments you have with us, Reysa?
At the moment, me and Margaret are working closely on three aspects. One is developing these libraries in the remote areas. Second, in trying to find ways where we could send for formal schooling library staff here in Vanuatu. And third, go into the international agenda like the UN 2030 agenda and other issues of open access. So these three things are the main concerns that we have right now amidst all the limitations. But we are, as a group in VLA, I am part of VLA here at some point now. So as a group, we are trying to work all these things together so that we could keep abreast with whatever global standards and global trends in library practices is done nowadays. And again, thank you so much, Ray. Thank you so much for all the participants who shared their interest to help libraries in Vanuatu. I hope to hear from you. Just email me, or I can be reached through my WhatsApp or in my Skype. I can do virtual meetings every now and then so we can sort out in which area of the project we can work together.
Thank you, Reysa, and thank you so much for just the presentation. It was really, really great. I really learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone here appreciated the time and effort you put the slides together and the presentation. And thank you all for joining and participating. The recording will be sent out to all registered participants, so that includes all of you, in, I guess, sometime today. And it's interesting because right now I'm in the West Coast, and it's Monday, Martin Luther King, the day, holiday, and for us here, and then you're on Tuesday, right?
Yes.
I remember just like figuring out the time zones, but I'm glad it worked out. and glad folks are still able to join us. All right, thank you all. Take care.
Thank you so much.